It is April Fool's Day, which means it's April Fool's pranks. Now, because I am with Danish girlfriend, I don't just get to see the pranks in the United States, I also get to enjoy, well, you can do that, but I also am now exposed to the pranks in Denmark. And it's very interesting how the two countries approach April Fool's pranks. Now, I sort of use 5 criteria when I look at an April Fool's prank. There's believability, how clever it is, the whimsy, the cute and the fun, and the commercialism. Is there some kind of other purpose? Now, the first thing I will say is that Danish April Fool's pranks tend to be the kind that they want you to believe it because they want to point something out. And these generally come from news media or individual entities that want to make a point about something in their society. On the other hand, Americans tend to use, most of the pranks I found were from brands trying to sell things. So they were using their pranks to make things look cute. So consumers will go, oh, isn't that wonderful? Maybe I should get Omaha steaks or Tic Tacs or a plethora of other things. But they really didn't have a point going, huh, well, that's interesting. I'd like to believe it. No. So, and that's why I do like having now been exposed to Danish April Fool's pranks. And there's a couple of them that have come to mind. I have to say that I got these from other sources because that's how I would reach them. I do not, the Danish media doesn't come to me. I actually have to proactively reach out to the Danish media. And one of the first things I found is that the one news outlet has said that there is a Tesla-free zone in Copenhagen. Well, you might believe that. Why? Because the Danes, rightfully so, are kind of fed up with the United States, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and therefore Tesla. So what else wouldn't be a perfect thing to have a prank? Another one I enjoyed was they said that the Prime Minister of Denmark decided, well, why not? Why don't we give Donald Trump something? And they said, we'll give them the island of Anolt. Anolt is in the Baltic Sea. It's south of Læsø, which has a lot of salt mines. There's not much on it. It kind of looks like Greenland if you want to. I mean, if you squint, well, it's an island, and it's got a lot of summer tourists that Greenland doesn't have. So in fact, I think it's very appropriate that Donald Trump should take this and build his northern Mar-a-Lago. Here's another one. A news outlet said Greenland has bought Trump. That's right. Greenland has bought the Trump organization. Now they did it with some loans and various things, but they now own the trademark of Trump. So if Trump wants to buy Greenland, he's got to buy himself. So Trump would have to buy Trump. And then Greenland would kind of own Trump, which I find fascinating and would probably be very confusing to the Trump organization and our fine president. In Copenhagen, they have named a road after Greenland, Greenland Road, as a mark of solidarity with Greenland. And that's something you could actually believe. And I go, well, yeah, that probably could happen. So that verges on, is that really a April Fool's prank or just kind of a funny suggestion? Because when I go, well, why not? They're constantly naming roads here in the United States. Anyone who's famous gets they don't get a full avenue or a full street. They get just a block of a street. So if you have say 12th Street and 8 avenues, you could actually have 8 different roads for a person. So why not? Here's one I found interesting. It was very pertinent for the United States. They said that because bike paths are getting so fast with the inclusion of electric bikes, they're adding speed bumps to these bike paths. And they had a very funny video of the man, putting them in, installing them, and some of the bikers trying to get over it. And I thought, well, that would be great because New York has a lot of e-bike problems. And I don't enjoy e-bike problems. In fact, there's a lot of things that I wish I could put a speed bump in front of. And I would go, yeah, I would believe that. The last one, which I thought was rather amusing, well, there's two more, was that they're building a soccer stadium that floats on a barge in Aarhus. Now, this is just wonderful whimsy. I don't know why you would do this, but I would see it if they wouldn't just use it in Aarhus, but they would move it around, particularly to some towns that don't have a good soccer field, which is hard to believe because they have a lot of good soccer, a lot of fields in Denmark to play soccer. But it certainly goes, well, that would be kind of fun. You could just take it where you didn't. Like, I bet the island of Owenholt, where they're going to give that to Donald Trump, could use a soccer stadium that would float. Another one, and the last one they had was, they had someone who said that they are going to now use bugs, grasshoppers, for feeding people because it's a very cost-efficient way of producing protein. Now, this has actually been stated, and there are people who surmise that in 30, 40 years, when we don't have enough grassland or we realize it's bad for the climate, we are going to start eating bugs. And why not? You could take the bugs, you could mash them up, you could flavor them, you could put them in a patty. You could I bet you could make a bug burger that tastes as good as a McDonald's. So that is all I have to say about Greenland Danish pranks, and they are fantastic. So thank you kindly.